Alrighty, everyone, welcome back. So, we continue on in the prospect pool overviews today with the Tampa Bay Lightning. After this team, we have 4 teams left, so let's just get straight into it. So, Tampa. Obviously, they're a team that has been contending for a very long time, which means their prospect pool is weak. And it absolutely is. It's one of the weaker ones in the NHL, but it's still something we need to talk about. Tampa Bay, I'd say their best prospect is the first one I'm going to mention. It's Isaac Howard. Howard is a left wing from Hudson, USA, 5'11", 190 pounds, drafted 31st overall in 2022. I remember when Tampa got this guy in 31st, it was looked at as an amazing pick and a player that was looking like he was going to do some great things in the NCAA, and he did pretty well relatively with Minnesota Duluth. He had 35 games played, 6 goals, 11 assists for 17 points. Not bad contributions as an NCAA freshman. However, he's going to Michigan State to play with the Wolverines, so he's going to play for them. Which should be very interesting. He's looked at as a very talented, has a good shot, good offense, can deke very well, is a feisty forward out there, and definitely has a great potential to be a solid forward for Tampa in the future. But obviously, he's going to take some time. I'd say another probably 2 more years before we see him come to the NHL. But regardless, a guy that I looked at as a very solid player. Next up, then, you have Ethan Gauthier. Gauthier is a right wing from Phoenix, USA. He's 6 foot, 183 pounds. He won the Hlinka Gretzky Gold in 22-23. He was drafted 37th overall in 2023 as well. So he was a more recent draft pick there for the Lightning. But in 66 games played with the Sherbrooke Phoenix, he had 30 goals, 39 assists for 69 points. Those are good numbers there for a forward for sure on a team like Phoenix. He can skate and score, and he also has some great grit to him too. He was a sneaky 30-goal scorer last year for Sherbrooke. So definitely a guy there that is going to take some time for sure. Probably going to spend this coming year in the queue or wherever he's playing now, and then come over to Syracuse and play a few seasons down there, and then eventually make his impact in the NHL. But obviously for guys like Gauthier, it's going to take some time for them to get to the right level. Next up then, and the final forward, you got Jack Finley. Finley is a center from St. Louis, USA. He's been in the system for a little bit, but he's 6'6", 223 pounds, drafted 57th overall in 2020. Has a great form to him, just the offense just isn't really there. It hasn't been there. It's been slowly progressing over the past couple of years. He's been improving. It's taken him a little bit more time to get adjusted into the NHL level that he wants to, but hopefully he should get some NHL time this coming year. In 67 games played this past year with Syracuse, he had 12 goals, 9 assists for 21 points. Those aren't the best stats in the world, but for a younger player like him, it isn't terrible. He's rock solid on the puck, and as I mentioned, he's steadily improving. So he's slowly getting better, building up after every season. So definitely a player that I want to look out there in Tampa Bay center depth. So yeah, hopefully Finley will eventually make an impact. It's just taking him a little bit more time, which is fine. I mean, for a team like Tampa, you're going to be drafting a lot of later round picks. You're going to get guys that need to take longer to get there, but obviously Finley has been a solid player down in Syracuse, and he can only get better from here. Moving on to the defenseman, then you got Jack Thompson. Thompson is a defenseman from Cortes, Canada, 6'1", 185 pounds. He won the U20 World Junior Gold in 22. He's been in the system for a little bit, drafted 93rd overall, and he's been doing some solid contributions on the blue line for Tampa because in 71 games played this past year with Syracuse, he had 8 goals, 15 assists for 23 points. Good numbers there for Thompson. Definitely a guy who's listed as developing an own zone game, which basically means he can control any zone he's in, which is definitely good for him. And a much better defensive type defender than others, and could be a good guy on the Lightning blue line in the next couple of years. You see a guy like Nick Perbix, a guy who wasn't looked at too much in Tampa before this season. He came up into the system and played very well, so maybe Thompson is that potential next defender there who gets a shot in the NHL. Next up, then, you have Danil Pilenkov. Pilenkov, a defensive from Yegorevsk, Russia. I believe I'm saying that right. 6'1", 194 pounds. The issue with him is just his size. Like, that's what prevents him from everywhere else. He just doesn't have the right size of the defenseman, which isn't a bad thing at all, but definitely that is something that is kept in mind. Drafted 196th overall in 2021. And obviously with the Russians, there are some concern of, they'll never come over. And there obviously is that concern with Pilenkov. But this year, he took a big step in the KHL on the blue line. In 22 games played, he had 3 goals, 11 assists for 14 points with the Severstal Chiropevets. Believe I'm saying that right. But he played a regular role in the KHL playoffs. That's arguably the second best league in the world for hockey. So he's definitely a guy there that, you look at, can play a big role in a playoffs like that as a younger player. That shows he may have a good chance of eventually making the Tampa Bay roster in the coming years. But obviously he does need to come over. He needs to sign a contract. That obviously all needs to happen. And last but not least, then you have Hugo Alnefelt. And he's going to be interesting because Vasilevsky's hurt and the goaltending outside of him is wide open. It is literally wide open. So a goalie from Danderyd, Sweden, 6'3", 201 pounds, won the U18 World Junior Gold in 18-19. So that was a little bit ago. He's been in the system for a while. Drafted 71st overall in 2019. He just has taken a little bit longer to get there. But in 33 games played this past year with Syracuse, he had a 17-12-2 record, a 2.77 goals against average, and a .904 save percentage. Not terrible numbers. He split starts in the NHL and is actually calmer in the crease than others as a goaltender. So definitely a guy to look at there. But he will get some time probably in the NHL for sure with Vasilevsky being hurt. I'm not sure who they're going to run with. We'll obviously find out. But, that is a concern there. So the goalies in Tampa, all of them are going to get a shot, including Alnefelt. So we'll obviously see how he does. Other prospects in the pool then, you got Nico Huntanen, forward Dylan Duke, and then forward Jason Chagoubay as other guys there that are in Tampa Bay's system. But obviously it's a relatively weak prospect pool, but there still are some lucky gems there. But yeah, that is your prospect pool overview for the Tampa Bay Lightning. As I mentioned, we have 4 teams left: the Kraken, the Senators, the Hurricanes, and the Leafs. So we'll get those done soon. But anyways, thank you all for watching. If you enjoy, make sure to leave a like. Hit that subscribe button down below. I greatly appreciate it. But anyways, I will see you guys in the next video. Adios.